Hello and welcome to the White Collar Fitness Radio, the ultimate podcast for professionals striving to achieve optimal performance in today's fast-paced age. I'm your host, Bruno Dalladoni, online body transformation specialist and founder of the Health Coach Fitness. I'm here to help you optimize your health and fitness, even if you're short on time.
What's up, everyone? Today we're talking how to optimize your evening routine. When we talk evening routine, obviously we're thinking about how to effectively get ourselves into a position where we can sleep better. We can effectively recover the best we can and have the most efficient sleep we can, obviously, when we sleep. Now, what tends to happen for a vast number of people is that you can sleep, naturally, you fall asleep, but the quality of sleep you get isn't optimal. What we're talking about today is really some strategies you can implement to make sure that when you do sleep, you get the best sleep that you possibly can. We're going to start at the top with everyone's favorite, caffeine. So naturally, caffeine, coffee, tea, dark chocolate. Previously, I've mentioned in the morning routine episode, quite early on the podcast, about your caffeine has a half-life of about 8 hours, which effectively means that if you have, let's just pick a nice round number, about 100 milligrams of caffeine now, 8 hours from now, in your system, there will still be about 50 milligrams, and then 8 hours from then, you'll be about 25, and 8 hours from then, it'll be 12 and a half. Anyway, you get the idea. So the idea of having caffeine early in the day is fine, obviously, but caffeine is one of those things that we just need to be aware of. I've had so many conversations over the years. I've had so many clients over the years who tell me that they can have, Bruno, I can have an espresso just before I go to bed and I'm fine. Yeah, it's fine. You can sleep, but we need to make that differentiation between falling asleep and having good quality sleep. It's the same as if you go out, as it were, and you get on it, you're not having good sleep after 10 pints, are you? Like, let's all be honest. You'll pass out. That's great. But the quality of sleep you're getting just isn't there. And caffeine is much the same. Obviously, don't take me out of context. You know what I mean when I say much the same, right? Obviously, caffeine is very different to alcohol. But it's much the same in the sense that you'll be able to sleep, you'll be able to fall asleep, but the quality of sleep you're getting just isn't there. So having that caffeine earlier in the day is better. Now, I tend to advise clients to try to stop that caffeine intake about 12 o'clock, as in midday. Now, naturally, if you can push a little bit earlier, even better. I try to not have any more caffeine much past 10 a.m. And even then, I only try to have 1, maybe 2 caffeinated beverages. And for me, they'll always and forever be coffee because English breakfast tea tastes like dust. Yes. Try to limit that caffeine intake to the early part of the day because that will make a big difference to how your body then transitions later on to a more, let's call it, sleep-ready state. Now, let's fast forward a few hours. You're in the evening. What can you do as part of your, let's call it, sleep hygiene routine to maximize that sleep? And there are a few things really that we can talk about. Some more straightforward ones are having a hot shower or a hot bath aka some deliberate hot exposure. So naturally opposite to ice baths, having something that's really hot now in the evening will be beneficial. And the reason for that is that because the exterior of your body is hot, as in your skin's hot, your core temperature, your system will have a bit of a compensatory effect to try to cool you down. So it basically means that although your skin's hot for a little period of time, your internal temperature will actually start to come down a little bit more efficiently. Naturally, also, hot baths or hot showers can be quite relaxing. You obviously heat up the muscle a little bit, which naturally just helps you relax. It's nice, you feel clean before hitting the sack, which is always nice as well. So all those things can be really beneficial. The other thing that can also help is while you're having your shower or your bath, having some lavender smellies. And we'll get back to lavender in a moment, but just know that will help. Now, one of the main things we want to just bear in mind is these two states that your nervous system goes in. They are opposites. You've got your parasympathetic and your sympathetic nervous systems. Now, what are those, you might ask? And the short answer, the simple answer is they engage different systems within your body, different cascades of hormones and neurotransmitters and neuromodulators and all these fun and exciting things that match the different states. For example, your sympathetic nervous system tends to be your fight or flight nervous system, if you like. It's obviously all the same nervous system, it's all part of your central nervous system. But your sympathetic nervous system, as it's called, engages the more fight or flight type things going on. Adrenaline, noradrenaline, all those things. Whereas your parasympathetic nervous system is the rest and digest guy, which effectively means that's what we're trying to transition into. We're trying to really switch into a parasympathetic state in the evening. And there is a bajillion different ways of doing this. But the way I like to think about it is about creating certain triggers that help you do that. Okay? So your body, your brain, fascinating things. And your brain will create associations that you don't even know. And one of the easiest associations it makes is with smells. So how often have you had a thing where you just smell something and it instantly transports you to either a childhood event or a holiday you've been to or anything like that, right? You're walking by, you're just doing your thing, minding your own business, you get a waft of something and boom, you're, 5 years ago in Bali where you had your honeymoon. I don't know. I'm creating scenarios, but you get the idea. And that's your brain having created a link, a trigger, that's what I call it at least, with that smell. Now you can create triggers with lots of different things. And it goes back to the lavender aromatherapy, because your sense of smell is so powerful at creating these triggers, we would be remiss if we didn't lean into it a little bit. So there's a million things you can buy these days. Pillow sprays, room sprays. I myself have some sleep stones, courtesy of my mother-in-law. Thank you very much, Debbie. That just make your room smell calming. And you can use that to not only create a trigger where your brain goes, oh, okay, I'm smelling this. It should mean that we're going to sleep soon. But also as a trigger to go, okay, now we relax. And now we go into that parasympathetic state. Now, that's just one of the things you can do. You can also play around with mindfulness, guided meditations, calming music, for example. And this is completely unrelated to sleep. But for me, if I'm trying to really concentrate at work, when I'm doing paperwork, for example, when I'm mapping out these podcasts, what I'll actually do is listen to a playlist on Spotify called Peaceful Piano, because it's just calm enough that it allows me to concentrate and get stuff done. So you can use things like that as well to help you transition into a more parasympathetic state. You can also use things more directly to creating those triggers, things like sleep stories. So as you literally go into sleep, you can whack a sleep story on. Now, there's, again, different apps that do those. Headspace and Calm come to mind. But there are other ones. I, for one, I actually just have audiobooks that I do that. And these days, personally, I actually find it very difficult to sleep without having a book on. Now, you can obviously set a timer for when it goes off, turns itself off. But yeah, I find that the calming tones of Stephen Fry's voice work wonders for me. And there are other things too, that you can use, like I say, to create those triggers. Things like how you get sleep teas these days, things that are supposedly designed to take you into a more parasympathetic state. Now, I've bounced between triggers and parasympathetic nervous system quite a lot here, and I don't mean to confuse you. So what we are trying to do is effectively put ourselves in a more parasympathetic state, and you can do that with smell, with either calming music or some tea or some mindfulness or whatever. A hot bath might help with that, although that's not the main focus of a hot bath or a hot shower. But the idea is to find something that you find particularly calming, do that, and allow yourself to relax. So you allow yourself to not stress. Really important. And then from there, you can create triggers that will take you into sleep. So for me, for example, you'll be listening to a book or a sleep story. But I also have, as previously mentioned, those sleep stones. So I have them open on my pillow for the best part of about an hour to an hour and a half before I intend to go to bed, because the whole room smells lavendery and calming. My pillow smells that way. So when I hit the sack, that smell is wafting over me. I've got my book on. I am out within seconds. So there are triggers that I know if I've got that book and I've got that smell, it's sleep time. Let's go. So those are certain things that you can implement. And the idea of all of those things is really to make sure that when you are at sleep, you're sleeping a bit better. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't touch on the big no-nos that you probably should be avoiding like the plague to improve your recovery and improve your sleep. And the first one, we all know it, is screen time. Reduce your screen time. Ideally, by about 2 hours. So for about 2 hours before you go to bed, you would avoid screens. Now, I realize that this is an unrealistic ask for most people these days. So an hour will do. And if you can't even manage an hour, 45 or half an hour will also do. Anything you can do to reduce that screen time at night will make a difference. Now, I won't get into the ins and outs of sunlight. I will do an episode on sunlight. You can offset some of the detrimental effects of light, bright light specifically, in the evening with some sunlight, but like I say, we'll go into that at a different stage. Now, there's a lot of talk about blue light for a long time, and yes, but realize that blue light is less the problem than bright light is. Into those no-nos, if you can, turn your main lights off in the evening, have side lights, and if you can, have lights that are below eye level. And there are reasons for that with the photoreceptors in your eyeballs and how they pick up light and so on. Again, stuff for another day. But suffice to say that if you have dimmer, warmer light that is below eye level, you will be doing yourself a huge favor. And naturally, if you can avoid it, don't be arguing with your partner just before you go to bed. Nobody needs to be angry and agitated. You want to be calm and relaxed and zen. Now, anecdotally, something that I talk a lot with my clients about this stuff, like sleep and recovery, is by far and away, like it's not close, the biggest thing that people leave on the table when it comes to anything fitness, anything health. It's like the one thing. If you could fix absolutely anything, it'd be your sleep. You'd be getting your 7.5 through to 9 hours, like there or thereabouts. The more the merrier, obviously. And you'd be getting really good, deep quality sleep. You'd have a nice balance of deep sleep, REM sleep, and light sleep. And you'd wake up without necessarily needing an alarm, feeling fresh and ready to tackle the day. Now, if you're not waking up ready to tackle the day, you could probably do with looking at why. Other things that are big no-nos are eating too late. Okay? If you eat too heavy a meal, too late in the day, too close to bed, you'll know about it. And I'm sure you've done this at some point. If you eat too late, there's a likelihood you're going to wake up 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, maybe between 1 and 3, maybe, with the cold sweats, a bit agitated. That happens. That'll be because you ate too late, potentially. Just be aware of eating too late. If, for whatever reason, you have to eat late, too close to bed, then have something light, a protein shake, maybe some fat-free yogurt, something like that, to just plug the hunger, but not stuff you. Really important. It'll make a massive difference. But like I was saying, anecdotally, the one thing I found for me personally that has massively helped, and you lot are going to probably laugh at this, but are nasal strips, those ones that people that snore have. I don't snore, by the way, but they are amazing. They open up your nostrils. They allow you to just get more air in there. And a mouth tape. Now, I will say, you will look like an absolute gimp with it on. And it's fine. Don't worry about it. Embrace the look. But it's a bit of tape that goes literally over your lips, over your mouth. And the idea of that is that it stops your jaw from slacking open when you're relaxed, aka sleeping. And the combo of the two mean that you breathing through your nose, which is an absolute yes. And not only are you doing that, you're also getting more air in because your nostrils are open further apart. That, by far and away, it's not close, has been the biggest thing that has helped me personally. Now, there is some emerging evidence for mouth tape, but as far as I've seen, at least nothing to really shout home about. But I can tell you that anecdotally, massive yes. And if you don't mind looking like a gimp, I'd highly recommend. Just maybe not if you're going on a first date, because it might put people off. But that's it, guys. Just remember, caffeine in the morning, if you can, not past 12. Hot baths will help because they'll help regulate that body temperature a little bit more efficiently. Also, they're just nice. They help you relax a little bit. Figure out what you personally find really relaxing and that puts you in a state of calm. Do that half an hour to an hour before bed. try to eat no closer. Is that right? No, yeah. Try to give yourself a gap of about 2 to 2.5 hours between your last meal, your last feeding, and going to sleep. And try to find what triggers work best for you in terms of putting you into sleep, creating those triggers that as soon as you hear them or you smell them or you whatever, touch them, they send you to sleep. And for the added bonus, if you don't mind looking like a gimp, get yourself a nasal strip and some mouth tape. And there you go, guys. This should hopefully give you some nice pointers to take away and action. And then I look forward to hearing how your life has been changed, because you can actually sleep really well and you feel fresh in the morning. Awesome, guys. As always, like, share, subscribe, send your friends, all of the above. Rate us 5 stars. And I'll see you guys next time.